Greetings, Wambu Bahati here. Welcome back to 70 Years and Beyond, where we celebrate the sweet, silly, soulful memories of days gone by. Today, I'm taking you all the way back to the 1950s. I'm taking you with me back to my hometown, Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm taking you right outside my front door to the left to the silver box that's on the porch. Well, technically, we didn't have a porch. My mother used to say it's not a porch, it's a stoop, because it was a 40 by 40 inch square slab that was about 5 inches thick, and there was a step that led up to that slab. So it wasn't like we had a porch. A lot of times when people think of southern homes, they think of these long porches or even porches that wrap around the house. No, we had a stoop. We only said porch because that's what people relate to when they think of right outside your front door. So we had this silver box on our stoop. The silver box was about 12 by 12, it was square. And it was heavy and very sturdy. Now, sometimes I did sit on that silver box, but the box was for our milk deliveries. The box was strong and sturdy because each wall was 2 walls with some insulation inside. And it had a cap, like I said, it would raise up, and that's where the milkman would leave our milk. Now, people have asked me, do you remember your milkman? What was he like? And I tell you, I remember his name and I remember his face from seeing him maybe once, at the most twice, but I never saw Mr. Tonkins because he would come so early in the morning. Maybe I saw him once or twice in the summertime when I happened to be up really early for whatever reason, or I saw him a few times in the neighborhood when he was taking care of business with some of the people who were his customers. But I never saw him. He came so early in the morning. But the times I did see him, I know he was a really nice looking man. I'm thinking he did wear a white jacket and the white cap, and he had a van, a white van that he delivered his milk out of. I'm thinking that he probably lived in a different community, because outside of people talking about Mr. Tonkins as the milkman, I never heard anybody say, oh, Mr. Tonkins was at church today, or I saw Mr. Tonkins and his family downtown. Never heard them reference Mr. Tonkins except in regards to the milk delivery. So I believe that he lived out of the city limits or lived in another town, and we were just part of his customer base. Now, he would bring the milk came in glass bottles. The way it worked is the customers would have like a checklist, and the household would check what products they wanted and in what quantity. Don't believe he did eggs. What he did was milk, cream, of course, buttermilk, and some cheese, I believe, and butter. But our main product that we got from him was just the milk. Every now and then some buttermilk, but it was usually just the milk. I believe my mother would get 2, I want to say half gallons of milk every few days. That's a lot of milk. Well, there were 6 of us in the family, but that's what I'm thinking is that she got, whatever she got 2. I don't believe that 2 quarts would have been enough for us. So I'm thinking it was 2 half gallons of milk. And on the top was this, looked like the top, it was paper, but it looked like it had been spun on there. It was a red and white top. And when you took that top off, there was a little silver top covering the bottle. And when we would use a bottle of milk, we would put it back into the silver box because we were recycling even then. When I think of this milk delivery, I also think of another milk delivery where I did see the person who delivered the milk almost every day. Now, when I was in elementary school in the 1950s, Jim Crow laws were still on the book. Now, there was a school that I went to called Caldwell School. And there was a big Caldwell School, which was the white school, the main building. And we were an annex to that school. We were down the hill. I remember looking up at the big Caldwell. I had to look up a hill, and I remember them having really great play equipment up there, and we did not. And I remember they had a cafeteria, I am told. So at our school, we didn't have a cafeteria. So this person would come in a van every day to deliver the milk to our school so that we could have cold milk or any beverages or anything that needed to be kept cold. They would come around at lunchtime at our school because we had lunch at our desk, and they would come with these red and white cartons of milk for the students, and like I said, anything else that needed to be kept cold, they would deliver by this truck. So this truck came every day. Now, when I talk about Jim Crow laws and I talk about racial tension, civil rights, segregation, I'm talking about it as a matter of fact because it is part of my story. The whole purpose of this channel is because I don't want those stories to be lost. I don't want those stories to be rewritten. I'm not telling these stories because I'm angry, I'm mad. I'm telling these stories because they're my stories. And if you were to see my family, immediate family, and see my extended family, you would know that we are doing what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had suggested one time, and that is we judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Some of the other things that I remember having delivered to our house in the 50s and early 60s, besides the milk, of course, the newspapers were delivered directly to our house, and my father had these potato chips delivered, Charles potato chips. They came in this big yellow goldish can with a brown label called Charles. And that would come on Saturday afternoons. And I was never so happy to see that Charles potato chip man come to our house on Saturdays. I was so into potato chips, and they were the best potato chips. I think to this day, bar none, Charles potato chips were the best potato chips I've ever had in my life. By the 1960s and the 1970s, refrigeration technology had advanced, and companies and stores had figured out how to offer milk in plastic and paper containers, which were much more feasible than the glass containers and also a lot cheaper. And of course, by the 1980s, the Milkman was basically history. Except there still are some communities in our country where the milkman is still a thing. And even though I never saw Mr. Tonkins that much, I still have such fond memories of having the milk delivered to our house and getting the milk from that silver box and putting the empty bottles in the silver box. It's a wonderful memory. Are any of you old enough to remember the milkman? Do you still have milk delivered where you live today?